Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 470 for the 8th of June. Let's start off with if you like to see my face or not. Let me know in the comments. And for those that have watched more than 3 videos from DPA and you really do watch, do press the subscribe button so that more people will be able to discover DPA. Yeah, so that's very, very important. That's how the algorithm works. So anyway, let's start off with the Southern Front. There is nothing happening other than no artillery battles along the Kherson River, the Dnipro River. Zelensky actually came to Kherson, but yeah, he's just here. So anyway, nothing much to talk about. Moving into the Zaporizhzhia Front. At the Zaporizhzhia Front, we have reports of fighting at Lokove. The report comes from Surya Maps. I think it's a delayed report because we have already reported the fighting over at Lokove. The Ukrainians actually did not seem to be attacking in this area anymore. But Surya Maps do suggest that the Ukrainian forces have captured most of Lokove. However, it's not entirely. There is still some parts under the Russian control just north of Pyatikaki. And over at the Orikhi sector, we have the Ukrainians continue their attack around the south of Malatomashka. So the Ukrainian forces over this area continue to launch the attack southwards. And of significance is that we actually have the first destruction of the Leopard2 tank confirmed, verified by the Ukrainian defense. Actually, I put the wrong link. This is actually not supposed to be Russian MOD. This is actually supposed to be Deep State UA. So anyway, so it's by Deep State UA, and the pro-Russian sources and all other different sources have been all looking at the footage coming from the Russian Defense Ministry and they identify on a calculated guess that it is Leopard2, and there is geolocation of the front line of the Ukrainian forces at the front line, geolocation by Chris 759 in these multiple different locations, and this actually corroborates our front line actually. So if this is the previous line that we have, and you can see that this is indeed where more or less where the front line actually is. So the Ukrainians actually did not get much this advancement. They actually moved their forces towards the front, and only in this area they seem to have gone a little bit across where we think the front line is, and that's about it. They basically cannot really get past anymore because the Russian forces has been shelling them to oblivion. And the fighting is still ongoing though. Information coming from Remlin21, the pro-Russian source, reported that the Ukrainians are still attacking near Robotine on the 8th of June, and Remlin21 actually reported further in the middle of the night that the Ukrainian forces are still actively attacking. So he wishes the Russian soldiers good luck for a difficult night. So the Ukrainian push towards Robotine carry on as they try to move towards the push is probably south of Malatomashka, and which actually warrants why we always see Russian Defense Ministry reporting shelling at Malatomashka for the past month or two, and there's shelling still being reported by the Russian Defense Ministry at Malatomashka, Novoandreevka, at Mali Shebaki, as well as at Stepove. And an interesting thing to note about the Russian Defense Ministry is that they actually did not publish a SITREP yesterday. So that is very unusual. They do have a report coming from Shoigu, the defense minister, but really, which is this one, talking about the Ukrainian offensive over the Zaporizhzhia region, basically referring to this entire offensive. They say that the Ukrainian forces 47 mechanized brigade, up to 1,500 men and 150 armored vehicles tried to attack in these two regions, and However, they were detected by reconnaissance, and the Russians launched artillery, airstrikes, and anti-tank weaponry, probably long-range anti-tank weaponry. And they say that in 4 different directions, the Ukrainian forces were stopped, and then the so-called driven back with heavy losses. They say that the battle is only 2 hours long, and in that 2 hours, the Ukrainians lost allegedly 30 tanks, 11 IFVs, and 350 troops. And they made it a point to say that this force that the Ukrainians use is a specialized force meant to do this offensive operation. So if we are talking about 4 directions, this is probably 1, Nestyanka 2, towards Ropotini 3, and another one towards Verbove 4. So this is probably the 4 directions that they are talking about. And it's, yeah, the as far as it looks like this fighting at Lukove has been abandoned. We are only looking at this right now. This looks like the main push down south of Malatomashka, and this was also were identified as one of the points where the Ukrainians will actually concentrate on. But we shall see whether Ukrainians can actually continue. Interesting that the Leopard tanks were used in this operation, and they are already getting destroyed right at the first day of their operations. This also shows that tanks are not magic weapons, and they also another thing is that you still need to the Leopard tanks haven't even seen the enemy just yet. Yeah, so I actually went to change the link. The link is actually Deep State UA /16797 on Telegram. Yeah, I'm not sure why I actually copy and pasted the wrong link. Yeah, I was using this Google My Map, this mapping, this software. Yeah, sometimes it's a bit buggy, so weird things happen. So moving on from the Zaporizhzhia Front over at the from the Kharkiv sector and Kayamsky sector, we go to the Velika Novoselka sector. There is Russian counterattack near Vremivka. So according to the Russian Defense Ministry's posting, statement from the Vostok group of forces, they say that they actually attacked Ukrainian forces in the area of Vremivka, destroying 2 tanks, 4 vehicles, and manpower, which means that the Russians were pushing back to push the Ukrainian forces away from the front line. So not sure if this will become a counterattack from the Russians to actually capture Vremivka. So otherwise, the entire fighting over at this region of Novodarivka, Levadne, Novoselka, Rivnopil, this entire region here, no, there's no more fighting anymore in this region. It's very, yeah, I would say disappointing that the Ukrainians gave up after 3 days of fighting. Over at the Novodonetsk, so we are now in the Donetsk Front. Novodonetsk is also part of this major offensive because the Ukrainian see this as one entire battlefront, this entire area here, and they were attacking in multiple directions like this, and this half is gone, and then this half according to DPA's mapping, this is actually part of the Donetsk Front. And this half also, the Ukrainians has been driven back. The Russian forces actually counterattacked southwest of Novodonetsk, reported by Surya Maps. And then in the latest information from Ramadan 21, another which is a pro-Russian source, they say that the entire salient that the Ukrainians have captured, which is actually here, has been recovered by the Russian forces. And the Russian Defense Ministry also reported fighting north of Novodonetsk, which means that the Russian forces have actually counterattacked and basically pushed the Ukrainians out of the entire territory that they have captured previously. So the front line have actually went back to the pre-offensive line. Basically marks the failure of the entire offensive at the Velika Novoselka sector. I don't even think that they actually hold Novodarivka right now. So the entire thing is just a huge disappointment for the Ukrainian side. There's shelling being reported at Shatarsky, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, and there's nothing happening over the Voleda region. Over at Marinka, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continued to report that the Russians are attacking this area here. For those that are not who did not know, it is the Chechen forces that is fighting at Marinka. Moving away from Marinka, we go into the Avdiivka Front. At the Avdiivka Front, there is no particular fighting being reported by any sources except the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, saying that the Russians are attacking at Severny and at Opitne. I'm not sure what to believe, because previously the Ukrainians were the one attacking this area here, and because there's the lack of report even from pro-Ukrainian source, we have actually no idea what's actually happening. And the Ukrainian Defense Ministry's words is, it can be taken from taken both ways. It can be the Russians, or it could be the Ukrainians. So we're not sure. So that's all from the Avdiivka Front. Nothing at the New York Front. Moving into the Bakhmut Front. At the Bakhmut Front, this is actually the area with the most fighting over in Ukraine over the past 24 hours. Shelling is being reported near, it's an airstrike reported near Avdiivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And there is fighting being reported towards Bilohora. This is according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. They said that the Russians are trying to head towards Bilohora. However, information coming from military maps, which is, I think, a pro-Russian source, and Surya Maps, which is a neutral source, suggests that the Ukrainians actually were the one attacking over at the canal region here, and the Ukrainians actually captured some grounds here. So this area here has been captured by the Ukrainian forces in their offensive, which, like I say again, it contradicts the Ukrainian Defense Ministry's words, saying that the Russians are actually on the offensive. So this could very well be a good bridgehead for the Ukrainians to actually launch a further offensive further up the canal or across the field. But across the field is probably a bad idea. And further up north, near the Klishchiivka region, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said that the Russian forces are fighting towards Stupovsky. They say that the Russians are fighting towards Stupovsky. However, information from Myro Shchenikov, a pro-Ukrainian source, say that there is fighting near the canal, and they say that the Russian forces is trying their best to hold this area, which means the Ukrainians are the one attacking in this area here. So again, pro-Ukrainian source conflicting with what the Ukrainian Defense Ministry is saying. And we also have information of fighting towards Klishchiivka. According to Myro Shchenikov, the pro-Ukrainian source, there's also information of fighting south of Ivaniske, also reported by Myro Shchenikov, the pro-Ukrainian source. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry said that the Russians are attacking towards Ivaniske. Which is actually contradicted by Myro Shchenikov, which says that it is the Ukrainians that is actually attacking. So yeah, see whether who you want to believe, the OSIN, or is it the open source intelligence, or is it the Ukrainian Defense Ministry? Previously the Ukrainian forces were attacking over the western part or southwestern part of Bakhmut. However, this attack is no longer being reported. So, and then moving further up north, we have fighting reported southwest of Avdiivka. This is reported by Surya Maps, but I think this is also likely to be a delayed report, because we have already reported this yesterday. So I just map it in just to because that's what Surya Maps report. So I will just report it as per what he said. This is happening yesterday. There is, however, still fighting reported at Avdiivka. Information coming from Myro Shchenikov, they say that the Russians are counter-attacking over at Avdiivka region. So probably they are trying to recapture and reform the line around the reservoir, and the lake, between the reservoir and the lake. Probably this what they are trying to do, and reform this line over here. Moving further away, that's all from the Bakhmut Front. And moving further away, is there any planes shot down? No. Over at the Siversk Front, we have fighting reported at Vasily. This is reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Shelling is being reported at Vasily, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This is actually an airstrike, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And there is shelling being reported at Sperne as well. This is also an airstrike. And so there's two attacks here. I wonder if this fighting, what kind of fighting is it? is it a Ukrainian push? Because previously we have information that the Ukrainians were pushing south from Rozdolivka, however, towards Soledar. But unfortunately, this has not worked out for the Ukrainians. So I wonder, this offensive action, is it actually a Ukrainian offensive action? It's very hard to tell. And over at the Crimea front, we have actually no reports coming from anyone, because the main reason is because the Russian Defense Ministry did not publish their standard SITREP. So there's no reports at the Crimea region, nothing at Sviatove region, and nothing at the Kupiansk region as well. So the entire front over here has actually went quiet. Clearly, it's not going to be really actually quiet, but it's just that when the Russian Defense Ministry don't report, we actually have almost nothing in this region here, because this area here is likely to be fought mostly purely by Russian military forces, and the Russian forces have a very good operational security, so they do not actually anyhow publish footages and stuff. Unlike the other front lines that there might be volunteer forces, forces outside the direct control of the Russian Defense Ministry, or the Wagner forces, or the Chechens. As a result, we actually have more intel in those regions. And over at the Kharkiv Front, the reporter Patrick Lancaster actually arrived at Novaya Tavozanka. So he actually fact-checked in this area here, and he can confirm that the Russians have full control over the town, which is actually what we have reported after the Russians counter-attack and recaptured the entire town. So he can say that the information about the Ukrainians controlling the town for 7 days is not real, and he can confirm that it is a lie. It's a misinformation campaign. So that's all from the Kharkiv front, and this is the summary for the day of 470 for the 8th of June. And do press the like button, subscribe if you are new to this channel, or if you have not subscribed. And if you are subscribed, do check to see if you are still subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you in the next update.